Guy, it's the end of the era. This week, the Browns officially announced that they are moving. But don't worry, they're just moving to Brook Park. They're not moving to Baltimore again.
Yeah, the guy's not coming tonight.
So it's pretty good. I have my daughter talking in the background. It's one of those days. She's home from school today. Hey, it's okay. So we we're going to do this kind of naturally today. So um,
Well, what in
let
the
me.
name of Bernie Kosar is going on? I was at getting something to eat at a Mexican restaurant, and they had the TV flash, Browns move okayed, and this
Oh,
old guy, he just what? He said it's not happening again. I go, no, it's just Brook Park.
well, let me start by asking this. Okay, we're news people. I did a segment with Mike Brown, who's been a longtime sports guy, and you've been a longtime news guy. You like sports. I like news and sports too. Here's the thing. Okay, it's interesting. It's a story. We
Right.
like talking about what's going to happen with Cleveland finances and everything. So, yeah, let's talk about it. This is good for us to talk about.
Right. And as
But,
long as I've been in the business, now that's
right.
spanning 40 plus years, they had been talking about a domed stadium for Cleveland.
Right, but I guess here's my thought, and tell me if I'm wrong, because I'm here in Columbus now. I've lived in
Right.
Youngstown, I've lived in Canton, I've lived in the Cleveland area,
Right.
and I know I'm not a Browns fan, but I guess what I'm thinking is, okay, they're moving from Cleveland about 12 miles away in Brook Park.
Right.
Should
Down
typical
the RTA line.
right? So should I know it's interesting. I know the thought of hey, now we have a dome. It's interesting. It's definitely worth our conversation. But I'm wondering, should anybody be freaked out about this? If you're a regular casual, hey, I like the Browns. I mean, they're going to keep their same colors, team, probably the
I'm
same
liking it.
players.
I'm liking it to the reaction to when the Indians changed their name to the Guardians. It's a change in the status quo.
Okay.
Since 1946, when the Browns were originated by Paul Brown in the old
Yeah.
American Athletic Conference, whatever they called it, they had played on the lakefront. Even, those 5 years that after Art Modell took them to Baltimore, you knew a new Browns team was coming to the lakefront.
Yeah.
But now it's not going to be on the lakefront. And there's many memories of football in the cold, and people, longtime Browns fans, are kind of getting a little jittery of getting accustomed to something new. I think that's my take on it.
Are you hearing anything? And again, this just got announced this week. We're hearing there could be some court action. I know if you're, you know, a city official in Cleveland, you're upset.
Right,
Or if
that's
you own
legitimate income is being
right.
lost.
Or if you own a business downtown, you're upset. I totally get all of that.
Not. I would think that's a false flag there, because look at, if there that stadium's not there, and the stadium only had 10 or 12 events a year to bring economics there. If it's not there, what's going to go in its place? So maybe that's my only quarrel with it is,
All right.
other than my sentimental longing, oh, the memories of dad taking me to the lakefront stadium and mom just loving Cleveland because of that. Um, I, I wanted to see some plans of what the city had in mind if there was not a stadium there. What were they going to do to enhance the Hall of Fame? Maybe was there going to be like a little mini mall of restaurants and shops and maybe even housing there along, with that rock and roll theme
So
as a kind of a
technically,
walkway to the rock and roll center. Hey, I just came from Nashville, and there
right.
was, there's something called Broadway there, and there's a bunch of bars with music hanging out, all country, not all country, some rock and roll music coming out of that bar. So why can't they do that? Have a rock and roll drive right past where the old stadium was, with a bunch of businesses leading to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Does the city own Cleveland Browns Stadium?
Yes.
Okay. So it looks like 2029 is the first game in the new Brook Park Stadium. Obviously, they've got to break ground, they've got to build it,
Right.
and everything else. So
It's a
it sounds
beautiful plan. It's a beautiful looking stadium.
like the lease for Cleveland Browns Stadium will probably run out 2028 or something.
Yeah, I think 2028 was
Okay.
the time it was going to. It was a 30-year lease, and that would be year 30.
Okay. Have you heard anything? Because again, this just got announced this week. Cleveland had hopes of figuring out some way of keeping the Browns downtown. Have they said what they're going to do? I mean, I
No,
can't
they didn't
imagine.
have a plan. It seemed like the mayor, of course, made the announcement, kind of just kind of stole the Browns' glory and
Right.
stepped right on the Guardians, though, right in the middle of a big
Yeah.
playoff series against the Yankees. Here's this
Take
big
that.
Browns news that the Browns didn't even originate. It was the mayor of Cleveland breaking the news. Yeah, they had lost in negotiations. The Browns did not choose the renovating the stadium plan. They're going to go and build their own stadium.
What do you think? Like, you think they'll just tear it down, like the old Brown Stadium?
Yeah, I would think they would, but you never can tell what's going to
Yeah.
happen.
Well, you got lakefront property. I mean, you could.
Yeah, it's prime property, and like I said,
Yeah.
it's right on the doorstep of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, which is a big asset for tourism in downtown Cleveland. I mean, this weekend they're inducting a new class, and there's no music kind of theme there for a big celebration. You
Or
could have
could
a rock and roll world there.
or
You
could
could even
Cleveland
bring the theme park.
could even Cleveland dome that stadium and make it more into a convention hall? Because you could have tons of
Eventually,
concerts
but
there.
I would think the cost would be prohibitive. It
Yeah.
would be
Yeah.
easier just to tear it down and build a convention center.
Wow. Wow.
But
Kind of sucks
like I
if
said,
you
I
live in
mean, it's
Cleveland tax wise. You're going to
right,
get taxed
right.
either
But
way,
but
you know?
it is an opportunity for the city. Instead of just wringing their hands, there is a beautiful Playhouse Square there within a few blocks. There is a convention center. We could have a walkway built from that convention center to the downtown. Make it a convention city. Hey, Nashville has done it. It's now become like Las Vegas East there, and there's no gambling. It's a destination point for I think more bachelor and bachelorette parties than anywhere else, any other city in America.
Here's the other thing
Maybe
you're
other than
wondering.
Las Vegas.
Whatever they end up doing, it's going to take time, to
Right.
rebuild and everything. Cleveland's going to make money if you have NFL there for a couple of years. But what would stop Cleveland from saying, okay, if you guys are leaving, I mean,
Oh, you mean like pull an
could they
Oakland
kick them
Athletic
out?
thing and say you guys are leaving, get out now?
Well, I think
That'd
the
be
city.
interesting.
Well, the city would make a ton of money from the NFL no matter what. And
Right.
you find out with the Browns, they're awful this year, but people are still coming to
Right,
games.
and you're going to make with the NFL players there, you're going to get some sort of city income tax from their big salaries.
So it probably makes sense to say, okay, people are still coming to games. Don't kick them out. But then on the other hand, your hands are tied for four
Right.
years before you decide what to do next.
Right. Hey, I hate to keep bringing up Nashville, but
Yeah.
it's
Well,
country music capital. Why can't we make it the rock and roll capital here? Rock and roll music capital. It's the Hall of Fame's here. They have in I think about 5 city blocks. They have a music center which has a concert venue, and the Bridgestone Arena, which also has a hockey team and more concerts. And it's concerts. It seems like 3 days a week there. So maybe they can build a similar venue like that, concert halls, smaller sized.
well, maybe it would be good for Cleveland to keep that revenue coming in from the NFL.
Right.
But if the PR thing is worth it, if somebody's
But
willing to
wouldn't you
step up
think
and
like
pay,
music, the music industry bringing concerts, more concerts here with
right?
their roadie crews, and they would get offset the income tax that a NFL team would?
Yeah, well, so I guess what I'm saying is Cleveland's got two choices. Say the Rock Hall or whatever, maybe if there's a separate institution, whatever it's willing to put the money in. Say
Right,
they come and say, wow, what an opportunity. Here's $1 billion, whatever it takes to buy the
right,
land or whatever else the case might be.
right.
Or maybe the city tries to get federal state dollars or however they decide to get the money.
And it's
Now
not
you
like, yeah, yeah, same thing. And it's not like the city of Cleveland hasn't lost the Browns before. They did.
Well, I guess what I'm saying is if you could get that money, and that's a huge if, and maybe
Right,
it's impossible to say this, but if I'm Cleveland, why can't I come up and say, all right, yeah, it stinks that we lost the stadium, but we're bringing in this rock community, whatever you want to call it or whatever. Now there's $1 billion, attraction.
right,
We'll have concerts every weekend at the convention hall. And, if you're a band, man, why not have 3 nights, on a
right.
weekend at right by the Rock Hall? You're at a convention center. You don't have to do it in the parking lot or
And
anything.
these have a whole, blocks full of other venues where up and coming bands can be performing and
So
catch
the
the eye of music scouts.
so the issue is you probably can't really start that to 2028 because the
Right,
monies of keeping the team in Brown Stadium until then
right,
make too much sense not to do. But if you could do that, would be better PR to do it the other way. I guess it would be, but then on the other hand, you've got to get that money right away,
right.
or you've got 4 years of not having NFL money coming in, which will probably kill you otherwise.
And we talked about, strong leadership instead of wringing their hands or bringing lawsuits for, something that's looks like you can't get the milk back into the carton. They're gone. The Browns are gone. So make the
Right.
divorce clean and go pursue something new.
Well, in I think to me the question is going to be timing. So, do you have a deal already in place? If the city of Cleveland's smart, maybe they do a backroom deal where they say, "Okay, we're probably going to lose the Browns, but here's what could replace them." How
Right.
quickly could they make that happen? If Cleveland's smart, they're already having those discussions behind closed doors. Are they that smart? Who knows?
And
It's
they
hard to
could,
say.
still talk to the Browns. Okay, we'll let you go scot free without any lawsuits. Let's have some kind of severance package.
But the question with that though is going to be, well, what do you do with the stadium? Because what they were proposing was, could we dome Cleveland? Now the problem's going to be if you're a Calgary County taxpayer, you're going to be paying for this new stadium in Brook Park. Are you going to pay
Right,
for that
right.
as
The
well as the dome?
Cuyahoga
And
County
yeah,
taxpayer is the one really feeling it, and that's
yeah.
a Cleveland resident also. So,
He-
that's the hard cold facts of local government that you live in a city and a county,
Here's our
as you
advice: if
well
you live
know
in
here in Ohio.
Here's our advice. If you live in Cleveland or Calgary County, move because your taxes are going to go way up. Move to outside the city.
And
Sorry,
I
Savannah,
know, and that's part of the funding package for this new dome stadium in Brook Park. It's going to be that syntax, the cigarettes, and is it? Yeah, it's usually the syntax was the cigarette tax that funded the basketball and baseball
but the
venues.
nice thing for the dome is look all the money could come in. Like I was telling
Right.
Mike, Lucas Oil Stadium, you've got events all over the year. Taylor Swift's coming in November for a couple nights, and
Concerts, yeah, another
now
concert venue.
the problem though with Lucas Oil was that got built right before COVID. City's out some money because the city pledged some money. I was reading a story in the Indianapolis publication when I was over there visiting. The city's out some money now because some of that money that was supposed to go to Lucas Oil had to go elsewhere during COVID. So they're in a
Right.
little bit of trouble. So hopefully there's no pandemics that happen in the next couple of years, or Cleveland could be in the same boat. So
Well, they have about 5 years, maybe
right.
more. Four. City fathers better get to the planning stage instead of wringing their hands, crying about the lost Browns. The Browns are gone. Let's look forward here. Let's have some forward-looking leadership. and I'd like to see what plans they have for that Browns stadium
I don't
site.
like the I don't like the Browns. I'll joke about this, but the mayor could have fun. He could be like, "Hey, we're not going to waste our money like the Browns do with Deshaun Watson, hey, or something like that."
Right,
But
right,
yeah, I know it's a tough situation, but again, it's still in the same county. Yeah, that's weird. Like
right.
when the Browns went to Baltimore, yeah, all hell broke loose and it should have. But now it's kind of a weird situation. But we'll definitely keep.
It reminds me of the Mahoning Valley inter governmental skirmishes here, and I guess it's endemic with all city governments in Ohio. That there's always kind of rivalries within the family, so to speak, and the city and county tug of war over the Browns is just another sad state of the way government is.
Yeah, I'll give a plug to our friends at MLO Brothers. Luke Schuster was on our show last week, and Luke was telling me he had a crazy podcast where they fired somebody at Mahoning County, and Luke had our podcast yelling at Mahoning County. It was taking Gina Dakova and a bunch of people over there to task. It was kind of
Right.
wild. But, check that out. So it was good. And definitely check out too, Guy. We're up against it, but I got to talk to you next week. I tried the chicken Big Mac with Luke Schuster.
Oh, yes.
I
I
don't know,
saw
man.
that while I was in Tennessee. That's when it
Oh,
came out last week, and now it's landed here in Ohio. Yes, I will have to hear more about the chicken Big Mac.
Big, chicken with Big Mac sauce stinks. I actually had a second
Okay, I
one
was
without.
wondering that.
I had a second one without the Big Mac sauce. Wasn't the worst thing in the world, but we'll talk more about that next week.
All right,
Well,
that's a nice
well
preview.
yes, yes. Stay tuned. All right. So for guys, this is Chris. Thanks for checking us out. Have a great day, everybody.
Have a good one.